Welcome to the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I'm your host, Lyndsay Dowd. My goal is to help train leaders and sales organizations how to manage and deliver results with empathy, compassion, and kindness. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire. I hope you are in the mood for some laughter because today's guest is going to be bringing it. Erin Brown got her start in New York City peddling Xerox equipment while moonlighting as a stand-up comic. 4 day jobs, a handful of TV and radio commercials, and countless comedy performances later, Erin took her gig to Hollywood and began crashing events with her personal red carpet, doing tongue-in-cheek interviews. I can't wait to dig in on this. The stunt evolved into an award-winning web series called Hot on the Red Carpet, which featured some pretty famous faces. Today, Erin is the CEO of her own company, Hot Red Carpet, where she helps people supercharge the vibe of their events with customized and unforgettable hot red carpet experiences. And she also is an MC and does something called Survey Sayz, which we are going to dig in on. That's a high energy, engaging team building game. There is so much to unpack here. I had so much more to say, but I just want to dig right into it. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, I'm so psyched to be here, Lyndsay. Thanks for having me.
So happy to have you. Would you do us the kindness of sharing a little bit of your background and your story?
Sure. Yeah. So I was born many years ago. No, how far do you want me to go back? So I'm a born and bred Jersey girl. Parents are both New Yorkers. And so I grew up going into New York City all the time. And I lived there for a few years. I started doing improv comedy in college. And I know that was a long time ago, but that really was a moment in my life that clearly meant something because I'm still talking about it. That's when I found a method for my madness, so to speak. And I was like, oh, there's actually a structure to all the stuff that I naturally do. And my siblings are banging on the bathroom door, asking who I'm talking to in the mirror. And I'm like, get away, I'm developing things. So when I went to college, I went to business school in Boston, but I always did comedy on the side. I always knew as a young kid that was my calling. I mean, forever. So I lived in Manhattan. Like you said, I worked for Xerox, which was hilarious. And also really, I learned a lot. And I also knew I did not want to do that with my life. I learned to listen to my body. And during that time, I did a lot of stand-up comedy and improv comedy, moved to LA. I actually had gotten let go from a job. Fun fact, not that fun, but kind of fun because I was collecting unemployment and took that with me to LA. And I came to LA and I started studying with the Groundlings Theater, which is another improv school. Huge, like Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell, Pee Wee Herman, Phil
Doesn't get better than that.
I mean, there's Jennifer Coolidge. Oh my God, saw her in like 97 at a show and she stood out on every single scene without trying to.
Yeah.
That lady is going to go, Jennifer Coolidge. So I did the whole Hollywood hustle and for a long time. And then I did the red carpet bit, which turned into the irony of it all because people started asking me to cover their events. And I'm like, I'm not a journalist. I'm just So anyway, fast forward to kind of getting done with constant rejection from Hollywood and wanting to have a little bit more control over my career and saw that people were asking me to show up at their events. I parlayed that into a business, which is what I do now. I do live events. I bring the red carpet magic to corporate parties. And, it's really lets people engage and communicate, have fun, step into their own spotlight, and whether they want to or not. But I provide like a fun zone, a safe space. And then that's also led me to teach workshops online about having confidence in front of the camera. That was during, the worldwide hiatus, which now I speak about it in person as well. So yeah, I'm saying
you hit on so many things I want to dig in on. And one of them is I'd love you to describe Hot Red Carpet, what you do, because I think it's so funny and maybe the inspiration of where it started, because it's just great.
The inspiration of where it started, I think I was on a couch in Santa Monica and I was in between places. I had lived in a trailer park in the Palisades. So if you know the Palace, that's pretty hoity-toity. It was across from
pretty nice. Yeah.
And I think I was waiting to move, whatever. Anyway, I was on a friend's couch and I was looking at the award shows, whatever. It was Oscar season. And it just, to me, it seemed like there were so many award shows, like even more than when I was growing up. And I thought, this is so silly. And then there was like shows that were just about the award shows and shows about the shows. And I honestly don't know, but I just had this like inspiration of, I want to bring my own red carpet. Like, this is so silly that just because you're famous or you wrote a movie that you get all this notoriety. Maybe I was a bitter actress, but I really wasn't. It was just kind of like this whole, I thought would be funny. I like dad humor. So I'm like, literally, I'm going to bring a red bath mat and go interview regular people. And that's kind of how it all started.
So what did you say to these regular people? Because I'm trying to paint the picture for people, and I can see the red bath mat, and I already think that's hilarious. And people had to be looking at you like, what is she doing?
Yes. Well, we went to Hollywood Boulevard where the Oscars are, and it was a Monday afternoon at like 4:00. This is before Instagram. So just to give you, before YouTube stars, I wore a tacky red dress that my friend had. She's like, it was in a Valentine's Day wedding. Where's this dress? I did my hair crazy. We just literally showed up. I dropped the mat. And before I knew it, there was a circle of people surrounding us because they see like a light, a camera, a blonde, they wanted in on the action. And we're right. I mean, for anyone who has not been to Hollywood, well, for any East Coaster, it's kind of like the Times Square of Hollywood. Like,
it's busy.
The Walk of Fame. It's where Jimmy Kimmel films, all that jazz. And so people were just like wanted to be interviewed, or they wanted to watch the madness. And I pretended it was an award show. And I said, who are you wearing? Oh my gosh, we've been waiting for you. Are you nervous? Like, do you think you're going to win? Like, I just asked exactly, like, I was like, Joan Rivers, like, oh my God, welcome to the red carpet, but I didn't really do Joan. I just did Erin Brown, in quotes, because it was a very much of a caricature. And did you ever see the show Absolutely Fabulous?
Yeah.
It was that kind of like, that was the character that I was sort of building. And, she thought she was bigger than she really was. And like, she rode her bike to the event from the trailer park. Like we put that later on in the footage. So yeah, we just were interviewing regular peeps. And
I love it. And so then obviously there started to be demand for this. So how did that evolve?
Yeah. So then I went to, I thought, honestly, my intention was never to make this a thing, more than one video. So let me be clear. So careful what you wish for. And a friend of mine said, you should do that again. I said, why? It's a one-note joke. Why would I beat a dead horse? He's like, I'm telling you, do it again. So I went to the Greek festival. There are many, but I went there with my friend, and I got Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson on my red carpet. And so that was because my friend was like, they sometimes go. I'm like, I don't know. This is like a 3-day event. So I just showed up for an hour. And so it was meant to be. And at that time, there was like a horde of people literally like moving around in a circle. I'm like, what is that? The two of them, Tom and Rita, were in the middle of the circle. Right. People just, anyway, so they were super cool. We weren't even set up. I was like, turn the camera on. Like my microphone had like a cord, it was like so low budge, no budge, really.
Yeah.
Throw down the rug. I just did it in the, like where they were walking, and they were very gracious and so cool. Tom was like, who the hell are you? Because I wore the same tacky dress, crazy to do. And so it was literally at that moment that I thought, oh, like we were so pumped and they were so fun, and they really appreciated the humor behind it. Because in a sense, it's like everyone deserves the red carpet treatment, and so I was like, there's something here. And then that led to me meeting someone who was in PR, and she asked me to cover one of her events because she thought I was a journalist, and she's a riot. She's like, oh, you got Doris Bergman. I can't even do her. She's a caricature of herself. But I was nervous because I'm like, I'm not just going to be a regular interviewer. Like, I'm not mean to anyone. That's never my intention. But it's like, you want to.
There's some snark in there. Sure.
Total. Like, how do you prepare for your gifting suite? Like, why do you need this crap? Like, what'd you eat for breakfast? Like, what's your game plan? And so I sent her the video because I told her, this isn't your regular interview. And I knew she was going to love me or hate me once I pressed send. And I got a phone call from her saying, oh my God, you're at every event I ever do. So that was the irony of it all. I'm interviewing now celebrities of all different levels, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And so then I just started hustling. But here's the thing, I wasn't really making any money doing the thing, but it was getting a lot of exposure. And so I was trying to use that as a vehicle to get bigger work, which it did lead to some bigger jobs, but not exactly where I thought it was going to be. So I had to let go of, just kind of go with the flow of tuning in of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to put this into the world.
So you talk about confidence a lot, and I love how you build people up. And I think the whole act of the red carpet does exactly that. But you also coach on confidence. So tell me and tell the audience why that's a really important theme for you, and maybe some of the tips that you give for folks that need that boost.
Sure. Yes. I think it's so vital to have confidence. And again, this was another gift. I think a lot of things kind of happened to me and just being open to receive them and go with the flow. And now it's really shifted my life on, professionally in a different way, I like it, which is great. But anyway, it happened during the worldwide hiatus, AKA pandemic. And my friend who runs a networking organization invited me to speak about having confidence in front of the video camera, because everyone had to, parlay their businesses, and we're all working in this virtual world. And so that's kind of where the thought, it was all about confidence, having confidence in front of the camera. So it really started to click and make sense, all the pieces of my tapestry of my life, where I'm like, oh, I have 20 years of improv comedy experience, and practice a lot of mindfulness in my own life. And I put those two together to create, I branded it how to have hot red carpet confidence. And what I mean by that is, like, when you do think about an award show, or you're on that carpet, whether it's, in your mind or not, but like you're being acknowledged for something, for a job well done. Nobody does it alone, even if it's just like the best actor. It's like it takes a village. So, and think about it, like their body, you stand a little different, a little taller, you find your light, like, you probably you do your hair and all that, but it's not just the external, it's internally. Like, look what's going on inside. Like there's that buzz, the electricity. It could be nerves, which is also the same as excitement. So that's available to all of us. Like, so I always invite people to think about an area of your life where you are confident. It could be, I am fantastic at making guacamole. I'm like number one, like at cutting people off at a red light. I don't know. That's not really something to be, I'm not judging, but some, like an area, like, I don't know. I'm like, you're super confident in, I'm sure, many areas of your life. You're a badass podcast host. Seriously. But it's like, think about that, or think about whatever, and just like know that seed of confidence is in you to cultivate. So like, it's not a one stop lesson, right? I think it's something.
No, and it evolves. It
totally evolves.
I think the thing that I see so often, and the thing that I think people struggle with a lot, is imposter syndrome, and finding that confidence often brings you out of that imposter syndrome. So you must deal with a lot of that.
I do. And I think part of the reason I can share it with people too is because I have done so much of the work myself with that voice in my head. I call her Judge Jenny, like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you're not qualified for this. And this wonderful acting coach I had years ago, Jack Plotnick, shout out to him. He's awesome. He works all the time. Super creative. He, seriously, go to his website. He's got these affirmations. If they can help anyone, you don't have to be a performer, but it's really releasing. It's a way to deal with that he calls it the vulture, Judge Jenny, and know that Judge Jenny is a part of you. So like, invite her to the party. Like, hey, what's up, Jenny? Did you want a cookie? What did you say? Oh, I don't know how to do this. And then I say to her, oh, well, thanks for your insight. I release my need to do it perfectly. I release my need to be the best. So over time, because then she's like, but you still suck. Well, I release my need to not suck. Like, she has like less and less to say. So then what happens is, like, that real loving, true voice of ourselves that we also do all have, like, that starts to grow. And so I'm like my number one champion, cause like, right? Like, me, myself.
Gotta be. I mean, this is something I always love to talk about with my clients. And, I always ask them to build a brag book. And I asked them to go back through their career and find all of the highlights of their career, the recognition, the things they've built, the things they've achieved, and really look at it. And number one, it helps them with their talk track. But number two, it shows them how awesome they are. And finding that, reminding themselves, and especially on those days where the imposter syndrome is strong, to go back and look at it and be like, no, you did that. Those are facts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like imagination. That's not somebody who kind of thinks you're good. You did these things. They are accomplishments. And I just think that's so important.
I'm getting zings like in my like chills, seriously, because I think that's so cool and it's so important. I'm gonna start a brag book right after this recording.
It's an easy thing, and honestly, especially for anybody interviewing, you need to have that in front of you. So your disposition changes from, I think I'm a very good fit for this role, to, no, you need me because I've done this and I'm the right person for this job because I have experience on XYZ. And in your job description, you're asking for this. I've done these things and I know how to do these things. It's just a position of power that you give 100%. Yourself. So I love that you do that. I think that's so great.
But maybe not everybody is your cup of tea. Like maybe they're not. Like it's nice to like I am definitely not for everybody, and that's cool. Same. And I learned. So it's nice to know, because then it opens up the field for someone who I can serve. And one other thing I just wanted to add on the like tools or tips or whatever is like with improv, the reason it's so excellent, and I really wish schools, like I wish you had to take it or like it was mandatory, because it can, if nothing else, that gives you all the confidence in the world. It really, it's all about being present. I tell people, be where your feet are, with or without Judge Jenny, and focus. Like, so when you have two improvisers on stage, it's all about listening and responding. And people say, oh, well, you're a performer and you've been trained. I'm like, we're improvising right now. Like life is improv, right? And so sure, there's techniques, but like we're expert improvisers as soon as we come into this world. Right. So don't forget that. And also like, it is all about listening with your ears and your eyes and your whole being, Yes. So if you are like, when you were just saying, like, it sounded like a job interview scenario, sometimes another way to get that, to quiet that inner critic, is to put all your energy on the person in front of you. Mm-hmm. So you're really in the room and you're really going to be of service or understand like what's happening. And then, because when you really listen, yes, and respond, then something more magical or just something else might evolve, an opportunity that you didn't see coming because you were too trapped in maybe the agenda in your head that you wanted to like hammer home. And it's like, I'm not saying don't be prepared, but be open to like, this is my intention. I always set intentions, but my intention is to remain open to like other possibilities.
I love that you use the listening word, because that's such a big one. And I didn't do improvisational comedy, but I did do improvisational acting when I was in high school, and I absolutely loved it. And you're right. The whole reason it's successful is because you listen, and you have to play off the other character, and you have to pick up on the themes. And this is part of the sales coaching that I do. You have to look at your client. You have to ask them, like you said, be of service. Mm-hmm. How can I help you reach your goals? And really listen to what they say, take those notes and say, so if I heard you right, which I know is an improv tactic, mm-hmm. you to make sure mm-hmm. that you're connecting and you heard it right. And when they confirm that, you're on the right track, you're on the right page. I just love that. And I think that's so important. So one of the things I love about you is that you're fun. And I think I'd love to kind of hit on your position on fun in the workplace and why that's so important.
Well, I worked in a lot of offices, and I was always myself, no matter what, for better or worse. So there's definitely like a line, you want to be professional, but I think you just want to be real. It's all about being real, right? Yes, you're doing work and you're there for a job and goals and like all that stuff. And that's business, right? And you're there to earn a living, and hopefully have maybe a mission, but like bring your whole self to the party. You don't like, you are fun. Like, I think what's happening too in the world, because I've talked to different people who are just working from home now, which is a lot of people. My friend is now doing hybrid and she loves it. She's like, I miss that interaction, that connection, that fun factor where you like are in the break room and you ask, what are you doing for Super Bowl or what? And it's not just small talk. It's really making those connections and relationships. So I think it's important to, to have that, but like just fun. Like it just does something to your whole system, right? Like your blood is flowing and it makes you more inspired, more motivated to be there.
And people hire you for fun though. Like
Yes.
they want to infuse fun into their events.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's
part.
that's the part I really want you to dig in on. I mean,
Yeah.
having connection is so important to
Right.
any workplace, but
Right.
I think for events, especially if it's a more serious company,
Yes.
I love the serious ones that hire you. I mean, you worked with some pretty household names. So talk about that.
For example, I did a Christmas party at an investment bank, and it was a fairly stiff crowd, but I knew I could like get it out of them. So, you know, I was the step and repeat, as they call it, when they walked in. So I was the welcoming committee. They come in and they do an interview. And so, I'm telling you, some people did not want to do it. And I've also learned how to read the room and know, okay, definitely don't go with that person, but this person says they don't want to, but I think they do. And then they often are like the funniest person or the one that's the most playful. And I think it's not to make people feel uncomfortable. It's really to play. And I'm always willing to look the fool first. I've polished my look. You know, when it started looking crazy, a PR guy said to me, he's like, what's coming out of your mouth is a little zany. You don't have to look zany. He's like, look, why don't you look like you're on Entertainment Tonight or whatever, you know, like a news reporter. And then, because it'll also come from like, they won't expect like the punch. I think it just loosens people up and gets them present and not take yourself so seriously. And that fosters like just a vibe in the whole room.
All right. Talk a little bit about Survey Sayz. What is it? What do you do? Who hires you?
Survey Sayz, I hope a lot of people listening.
Right?
For sure. Survey Sayz started during again the worldwide hiatus, because I had a shift to I was emceeing events online, and it's a team building event. I did not invent it, full disclosure. There's other companies out there that do it, but no one does it exactly my way. It's Survey Sayz with a Z, and essentially it's based off of a very well-known game show that rhymes with Manly Mood, just because I don't know if I can really say it. I'm Richard Dawson or Steve Harvey, depending on what generation you're from. So it's that. And so it's myself, and then I have a friend of mine, Ray Brown, who's an incredible DJ/tech guy, and there's no relation, but I always introduce him as my brother from another mother, Mr. DJ Black Rabbit, Ray Brown, aka DJ Black Rabbit. And he's just really wonderful, great personality, and he'll just like, I'll say like a million things because I talk a lot, and then he'll just go, word. And like, that's it. Like he just has one like word sentences, and it's hilarious. And we're a really fun team. So anyway, I put together a little demo during COVID and threw it out there, and different companies started to hire us because they were looking for something to get their employees together online, to have a good time, to connect. You know, there's no happy hours outside the office. It also was really wonderful for companies that were onboarding people during that time, which a lot actually were, believe it or not. And, you know,
all those people they hired just got laid off. So
I know. So it's really good for groups from like 10 to like 50 people. We set it up like tournament style, and it's a game show essentially. But my favorite part of it is, just because I have a comedy background, I try to make it more like late night, you know, and like I build in these quirky little segments, and sometimes they work and sometimes they bomb. It's all about how you play it, you know, like Johnny Carson. I don't know if you remember, you remember him, but like he was really good at bombing. A friend told me that one time on stage, I guess I didn't have such a great set, and he goes, "You're really great at bombing." I'm like, "Thanks, Dave." He's like, "No, really, I meant it actually as a compliment, because like you were having so much fun up there. You could care." So I was like, "Well, what else are you supposed to do?" You know,
I mean, you could cry, but that's not going to look very good. No,
So at Survey Sayz is just a fun, like now we do it in person as well as online. So like we brought it to Boston. Actually, this biotech has hired us numerous times, and we did it for their leadership team. It was a kickoff to their like 3-day event. So it was a cocktail hour, and then we had the game. And so I always have people share fun facts like in a hat. And throughout the event, I'm pulling them out of the hat. And that's one of the best parts about like the game is great. It's a construct, right? To get people going, and you get to see people who really want to win, which is interesting. And how
that's me.
play with each other. And then the fun facts is like, you know, somebody in this room got struck by lightning, and everyone's like, who is
Yep.
that? And then you figure out who it is, and then it's Rob, and he gets to take the mic and share his story. So it's not about Ray and I, like we are facilitating the
No,
fun.
you're the
They're
conduit for connection. I love that.
Yeah. So
And I learned that through the great hiatus, because I was managing a huge team, and I had to be able to provide connection to my team, and I had a bunch of teams that I came from acquisitions, and they didn't know each other, and they didn't know what the others were selling. And until somebody shows up in your world with conversation and interest, they're just a voice, they're just another being, and there's no connection needed. And I would always say to my teams, it's a lot harder to be an asshole to someone after you've met them. And so it was really important to me to provide that connection. And whenever we did that, and we did those fun facts sort of things, everyone remembered it. So those next calls was like, dude, how's the lightning? Are we okay? I saw there were storms in your area, or whatever, to just, have some banter, have some connection. Or I was telling your story the other day, and my mom was struck by lightning, or whatever. You know what I mean? But I think that just changes the landscape of work.
It makes them people, like we're humans, like we're not just like these things or these pictures online. We're living, breathing beings. And
it's so important. And I think leaders, I don't call soft skills. I call them power skills. And, some of these skills are, communication, forming connection, kind of, collaboration. All of these things are so important. And I think leaders are starting to get that. And especially with the emphasis on the hybrid world or working from home, you need to create opportunities for connection, and you do that so well. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, so here's a good one for you. What inspires you?
Like just in general, what inspires me?
However you want to answer.
I love music. I often have solo dance parties. Movement. I love going to live shows. That was one thing I missed the most when the world shut down, was concerts. But a good friend of mine, he's a showman, musician, whatever. They had these concerts every week, big in the garage in Playa del Rey. And it was like such a community event, and everyone, was in their own little lane, and the protocols and all that stuff. And then it got bigger and bigger. I'm like, you guys should get this covered. He's like, we're trying to keep the press out of here. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And they weren't doing anything wrong. Everyone was respectful, but like, that was something that I, during that time, especially looked forward to, because it was just like, you can freaking hang and dance and sing. And so, music, I often have music playing, even if I'm working, like just something mellow. But I've been doing, like, I meditate a lot. And so, but lately I've been doing just no music. And that's been an interesting,
I bet.
It's a shift, but it's actually pretty powerful being really present and in the now, because it's always now.
Yeah. I would find myself singing to the music, or like tapping or dancing, and I need to like focus. Okay. So here's another one for you. What would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy? It's such a big word. I think she just made every room that she walked into shine a little brighter.
You're already doing that, girl.
Thanks.
You're already doing that.
Thank you.
So where do people go to find you?
Sure. Yes. Great question. I can be found in a lot of different areas if you look up Hot Red Carpet, but that's my website, www.hotredcarpet.
And we will put that up for sure.
Yeah. And I'm on all socials, Hot Red, not Red Hot. It's Hot Red. Hot Red Carpet on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn is Erin Brown. But that's also Hot Red Carpet. Yeah. It's pretty much that.
Well, this has been such a treat. I'm so happy you came on. And guys, don't miss an opportunity to infuse fun into your workplace. Reach out to Erin, connect with her, follow her. And I wish you all a wonderful day. Thanks for being a great guest, Erin.
Thank you so much. This was a blast. It flew by.
All right. Stay tuned for more episodes of Heartbeat for Hire. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening to Heartbeat for Hire. If you like what you hear, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. To keep the conversation going, you can find me on Insta or at LinkedIn at Lyndsay Dowd, H4H, or you can reach me at my website, heartbeatforhire.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.